Welcome everyone to Beat the Game. This is Steve and it's time for another aspect strategy video. All right, today what we're going to talk about is all about leadership aspect strategy, ally recursion. So a couple weeks ago we talked about ally as resources, but now we're going to take a different spin on the allies and really target some of the allies that have the best interplay abilities. And so this strategy focuses a lot more on the allies that we are choosing more than the quantity that we are choosing. So we definitely want to be running, instead of running like 10 allies in our deck, we're going to be running probably maybe like 4 or 5. But these specific allies, we're going to want to see them over and over and over. And these allies are going to make a huge impact on the game. So for this strategy, the big pluses of these strategies is once we find that ally. So the best part is once we find that key ally that we're looking for in our deck, and we find the cards that complement this strategy, this is just going to turn into a crazy Groundhog Day effect where we're going to be seeing this interplay trigger over and over, which is going to make this type of synergy seem very, very powerful. But let's see, is there a downside to this strategy? Well, the biggest downside is not finding our pieces early. So let's say all of the allies that we definitely want to play into our strategies are at the bottom of our deck, all stuck together, which is a result of poor shuffling. That is going to make the strategy seem a little less, wow, it's going to be less impressive and more of a downer. But once we start seeing our strategy go and come into play and just start, building up a little bit here and there, you're going to be like, oh my God, this is so good. Why am I not playing this more often? So if you haven't tried this strategy, bam, definitely listen to this video. If you already know about the strategy, maybe you'll find something that you've missed, or you're like, oh man, I never thought about that. So you never know. Anyway, if you guys like this content, please give us a little like. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to the channel. Tell about your friends, tell your mom, tell your grandma, tell anybody who plays Marvel Champions that maybe they should check this out, especially if they're new to the game. All right, now let's talk about the cards that make this strategy. Now, normally I talk about like the top heroes and the top cards. The thing is, there's so many top cards that I can't just choose. So some of them are the allies, some of them are the events that bring back the allies. But I'm going to talk about 2 heroes. I'm going to talk about 2 heroes that are very special, and then we'll have a cheesy award for whap whap whap. The dud that doesn't make this strategy work as good as it should be. All right, so let's talk about it's a Razzie. There you go, the Razzie Awards. I was looking for that word. All right, so I think the hero I want to talk about the most is Wasp. Wasp, Nadia Van Dam, her recursion mechanic is immense in this strategy. The fact that she can keep bringing back some of the key components for this strategy over and over, and not only that, but some of the best cards we want to play also feature that mental resource, makes Wasp the queen bee, the insect pun, of this strategy. Man, it's late. I'm doing stupid stuff. All right, but yeah, she really make her a very unique character and in a very cool position to be able to just double down on this recursion mechanic that is just going to overwhelm you with how awesome it is. All right, now the other character, it's kind of weird because it's kind of a little anti-synergistic, but you might see the value of this after I start showing off some of the combos, and that is Drax. And you're probably like, why Drax? Why would you talk about Drax here? Drax why would ally recursion go well with Drax? Well, a lot of the ally recursion mechanics happen when the allies are defeated. All right, from an attack or from consequential damage. So because Drax has come fight me, coward, or come at me, bro, which I like to call, he can make this strategy happen not only during the villain phase, but also during the player phase, which puts him in a very unique position until today or yesterday when we saw Spider-Ham that has the card called Petulant Pig, and that makes the villain attack you. So there's only going to be 2 characters, which I'm not going to wait until that guy comes out, because I don't know when he's coming out, to redo this video. But I'm talking about him now. Spider-Ham and Drax are going to be in very unique positions to be able to trigger this stuff off in the hero phase, which is very rare because most of the attacks happen during the villain phase. So again, that's why they kind of get my little Funsies award. And then my little Razzie award goes to, again, Mr. Adam Warlock. And not because he's not good, just because, again, he only has 1 copy of each card. And unless you're playing Brian V's Wild Tutor deck, which can go get a lot of those cards back, you only have 1 copy. So it's the less optimal choice. So you try Brian's deck instead and then have fun with that. All right, so there you go. Here we go. So now let's take a look at the cards that make this strategy. But before we do that, I do want to give a special shout out to my puppy, Lockjaw. Lockjaw is, for me, very special in this strategy because he has this whole strategy incorporated in his card design, which is amazing because you can play him from your discard pile by paying his resource card. So he's basically Recursion on a stick. If he's in your discard pile, you can pay for him. He's got the, what's it called there? Make the call printed on him. So for me, he gets a special mention here. Lockjaw puppy. Come here, boy. All right, good boy, good boy. All right, go sit down. All right, so there you go. Now let's take a look at some of the key cards that make this strategy come to life. All right, let's talk about, I think the first one that we all know about is Make the Call. So Make the Call was introduced in the core set, and it gave us a taste of the ally recursion strategy. Now, the first card that we knew right away that if we can bring that back over and over, it would be Amazeballs. And we'll talk about Maria Hill a little bit later, but Make the Call with her face on it, Maria Hill was like, wow, man, everyone gets to draw a card, man. It was so good. So making the call for that ally or the Nick Fury ally, which again, we're going to talk about these guys in a bit, but being able to recur those cards, we saw right away that, wow, that was powerful, but it was only that 1 card. So again, the strategy was in its infancy, but as the cards came out, we got Black Widow, and Black Widow came as an extra boost card, came out with Rapid Response. And then we're like, oh, now we have 2 cards that complement this strategy. Nice. So Rapid Response is a hero response, preparation, and a skill that says after an ally you control is defeated. So again, defeated is either from consequential damage or from a villain or an enemy attack. You can discard Rapid Response, put that ally back into play from your discard pile, and deal a damage to it. So he comes right back. So again, if you have these cool enter play effects, well, they're still going to trigger with Rapid Response because your ally is coming right back into play. So again, a lot of good cards that are going to come with that. And the last one, again, this is the triumvirate of the strategy here. So these 3 cards make this strategy. So you definitely want to run 3 of these. You probably want to run 2 of these because you can only have 1 at a table at a time. And you definitely want to run 3 of these in a multiplayer game, maybe even a solo game. So what is this card? Regroup. This was introduced in the Drax Hero Pack. Now, regroup is an interrupt when an ally is defeated by an enemy attack. So that is very important. It's got to be defeated by the enemy attack. You can return it to its owner's hand instead of discarding it. And that is an interrupt. So here's the thing. If you have, let's say, you have your ally, you can trigger Rapid Response, have the ally return, and then if you're playing in a multiplayer game, you can have that same ally defend, and then he will come back to your hand. So that gives you an opportunity to not only have the effect happen twice, but even a third time. And if you can kind of keep combining these cards in a loop, you can really start seeing the multiple effects pile up. And again, depending on the effect, all the value that is going to go with it. Now, this does have a forced response. When the round ends, you have to discard this card. So this card also really came at a good opportune time, because a lot of times when this card came out, we were still in the box with Galaxy's Most Wanted, and we were facing the Collector, and then we're like, oh, leadership against the Collector is such a pain. But when this card came out, this is amazing, because not only do the allies not go to the collection, they come back to your hand. So even if you're playing in a 4-player game and there's 8 allies that get defeated, the 8 allies go back to your hand, and only the regroup goes to the collection, which is way more manageable having one card in the collection instead of like all these allies, because we thought we're going to lose. So again, this triumvirate here is an amazing strategy of a collection of cards that really make this complementary. And just because I'm talking about events and support cards, because after that it's all about the allies. This card, welcome aboard. You can only play it if you're a Guardian, but being able to reduce the cost for allies by 2, again, if you're going to be replaying them over and over, welcome aboard is a definite include if you're playing a Guardian ally. Now, we talked about combos. Let's talk about non-bows. What are you talking about, Steve? What is a non-bow? This is a card that doesn't combo with the strategy, and you might think that it does. So there's a couple of cards. Again, the wording on these cards is very specific, that the ally must be defeated. Now, we have a few cards in the collection, like Last Stand, Go Down Swinging, Sneak Attack, and Save the Day. These cards have these cool effects, but they say, after it resolves, discard the ally. Okay? All right? Discard an ally. After the phase ends, discard it. So these cards discard the allies, which means they will not trigger rapid response, and they will not trigger reboot. But again, reboot is more of a card that, regroup is more of a card that is played in the villain phase. But again, if you had ways with like Drax who can attack you, or you want to use these cards to kind of like have a bigger effect on your ally, these cards are going to be good in a different strategy, but not in this one today. So these are kind of the non-bows. All right, we're not going to talk about the non-bow allies right now. We're going to go right to the chase, and we're going to talk about the ultimate allies for this strategy. There is so many extremely good allies that it's hard to just choose the best one. So we're going to talk about all the ones that are available right now, and we'll start with the leadership, then go into the basic cards, and then in the top cards. So I think the best card for a multiplayer game, if you're going to play this strategy, is Maria Hill, hands down. She's printed on the, what's that card again? The Make the Call. There is a reason why you want to make the call for Maria Hill. She is a shield card. So again, if you have a mixed strategy, blah blah blah, if you're playing a Spider-Woman deck with shield and leadership, so she is a great card to combo off with some of these cards. But yeah, Maria Hill, she makes every player draw one card. So imagine if there's ways that you can recur it in one turn, once or twice, how amazing that is going to be. So just having that effect come back, and you can draw, let's say even draw one card for everyone is good. Imagine if you can make everyone draw 2 cards in a turn, maybe even 3 cards. So just imagine you have the rapid response, and then you trigger this, and then the villain attacks, you block it with an ally, it comes back to your hand, rinse and repeat, then you made everyone draw like 3 cards in a turn. It's crazy value. All right? So that is something that you don't want to miss out. So again, Maria Hill, one of the best allies for this strategy. Amazing. All right, let's talk about some other guys that are pretty amazing for this strategy. Squirrel Girl, again, comes into play, deals damage to everything. She, if you're playing against Expert Ultron or even just against Ultron in a multiplayer game, Squirrel Girl is definitely better than a card draw. So depending on the situation, Squirrel Girl is just going to eliminate 15 drones if you're playing a 4-player game, and then there's drones everywhere. She's just going to clean house in one shot. So very, very impressive Squirrel Girl, and still deal damage to the villain. So that can be a lot of damage on the table for a small cost. Then we have, again, in the damage realm, we have our friend Hawkeye. Hawkeye, great card. He comes in with 3. He has 4 arrows in his quiver. If you like Kennedy Hawk only talks good things about Hawkeye. And I understand, because Hawkeye is a great ally and a great hero. So I get it. He comes in with his 4 arrows. An ally comes into play, poof, you can deal 2 damage to it. It removes a tough from a tough ally. So it can really, really help you. And he's got 8 free damage. So it's very, very cool. So you can use them at how you feel and how it's going to be useful. But that 8 damage on 4 minions, it adds up. It can be really, really good. Again, you have to have the right scenario for it. But if you have a heavy minion scenario, this can be a lifesaver. And again, if a minion with quick strike with only 2 health comes into play, his arrow will trigger. The minion comes into play, wants to attack, then the response is going to happen, poof, and then the minion will never attack unless he survives that 2 damage. So again, that's really, really fun. Then we got threat removal with cards like Falcon, which just comes into play. You get to look at the top 3 cards. Power of Information. He's going to reveal and remove threat for the number of treacheries revealed. So even if there's 1 or 2, it's still coming into play, removing 1 threat. And then you also have the information. All right, is the villain going to attack me for a lot? What's the encounter card coming? So there's a lot of cool ways to kind of bring him back and kind of know what's happening with the encounter deck. Very, very solid strategy. Then we have cards like Kalu. Kalu is going to... I need to find and make the call. Well, there you go. I play Kalu. I can enter it. I can look at my top 5 cards. As you saw, there's a bunch of events that we can play. So we can definitely see, all right, what do we need? All right, I need this. I need one of my hero card events. I need my make the call. I need my welcome aboard. I need whatever. So you can really, really have some fun here with Kalu, recurring him. He doesn't cost a lot, and it's very powerful. I think one of the best allies for the ally recursion strategy, especially if you want to mix strategies. If you want to do a couple of other strategies, mix it up. Because again, I like to focus on one strategy, but just because we're focusing on ally recursion doesn't mean we can't use a little bit of ally resources. So imagine you use ally recursion, you use the strength in numbers. I think you've seen it in the video. Black Panther brings back strength in numbers. Boof, brings that back. Again, super solid combo that you can keep on a loop because you play that rapid response. He dies, he comes back, gets the strength in numbers. Rinse, repeat. Again, this recursion, very, very powerful mechanic. Super underrated. But once you get it going, bam, it's good. And then in the realm of damage, we have Captain Marvel comes into play. She's a little expensive, but once she comes into play, if you have a way of just keeping her into play with the rapid response and not having to play her over and over, and just having her do her events and do her abilities with the rapid response, you can stun, you can deal some damage, and just keep Captain Marvel on a loop. Again, that kind of recursion, it has its price, but it's very combo-ish. But when you're doing it, it feels really, really cool when you're like paying it off and you played Captain Marvel once in the game and then she's still there, either removing a bunch of threat or just stunning the villain over and over because you built your deck with a bunch of lightning resources. All right, so those are for the best allies in that strategy. All right, here we go. Now let's look at, obviously, the top card in basics. All right, there's nothing like a Nick Fury recursion, drawing 3 cards and then drawing 3 cards. For me, Nick Fury is great if you can have him in there a couple of times. If you have a character with a lot of resources, because for me, Nick Fury is a little bit of a trap because technically, if you don't have double resources, he'll cost you 5 to get 3. So the ratio is not the best, but once he's there and you can recur him with, again, a rapid response followed by a regroup, you can just like draw through your deck in a couple of turns. Like in 2-3 turns, you already drew have 90% of your deck, so you already set up everything that you needed to set up, and then you're golden, and then everything gets cheaper, and then you can just keep running that mechanic, and it's very powerful. Speaking of control, stunning with Mockingbird. Again, Mockingbird, very cool ally, comes in, stuns an enemy. What can go wrong? And then she comes back, and then she stuns the enemy again. So even in a multiplayer game, it can be very efficient. You save yourself from attack. She removed the threat on the turn before. And then, boof, she blocks for someone else. Rapid response, bring her back in. Boof, stuns. So again, there are a lot of ways to control with these enter the battlefield effects, which are amazing. And one of my favorites, not a lot of people play them, and I don't know why, but Heimdall. Especially in a solo game. Heimdall in a solo game is crazy good. Now, obviously, we have global logistics, which is better, but that is injustice. But Heimdall was the global logistics of since Thor. So if you thought that card is amazing, well, Heimdall does it. Yeah, he costs 5, but he also can remove 8 threat before he dies. And if you can recur him, you're going to know what's coming all the time. And that's really, really fun because you get to manipulate the encounter deck, which is a huge, huge benefit. Because you can see what's coming, you can see your boost card, you can see if you stun the villain. So if the villain is stunned and you're in hero form, you'll know the next 3 cards that are coming, or the 2 cards that are coming. Because you do have to discard 1, but you get to get rid of the worst card, and then you know, okay, well, I'll just get that minion because he's not that bad, and I'll get the boost of 1, who cares, I'll block with an out. So you have all these combos that you can play off of Heimdall and Captain Marvel. All right, so these are very, very cool. Now, this is something, again, with this mechanic or this strategy, you can also have some non-bows. But again, we talked about the non-bows. There's not that many, but in leadership, one of the non-bows is White Tiger because it's after you play from your hand. And it's all the cards that says after you play this card from your hand. So this is something where people might get trapped if they're beginners. Okay, so after she enters play, but if you put a rapid response and she goes back and comes back, she's not drawing you a card. Same thing for Miles Morales. If he doesn't come back, if he comes back into play with the either rapid response or with the make the call, he is not going to get the +2 bonus because he's not played from your hand. So it's something like that. You just be very, very careful. It's not that they're not great allies, but for this strategy, they're kind of non-bows. So they don't really combo well with what we are trying to do. Now, one of the amazing things, which I forgot about the non-bows. One of the amazing things about this strategy, though, is it can interact with other players and other aspects. So this is where it's really, really interesting. And I think where it's the coolest is because we're playing Make the Call, we don't have to just recur our allies. We can actually go get some of the best allies in all the other aspects. So if you're thinking about, there's a lot of minions. All right, perfect. I'm just going to go get a Throg from your aggression deck. Or I'm just going to go get Valkyrie and she'll come into play and deal 2 damage. Or I'm going to get Thor and I'm going to be able to attack and clear all these minions because I have the lightning resource. And because Make the Call is like, I can play it out of turn. It's an action, so I can do that at any time if I call for an action. If I'm looking at some of the great Justice ones, you can go get Agent Coulson. That goes and gets you your rapid response, which is super cool. And then you can set yourself up again. So again, somebody's playing Justice, you can say, hey, do you want to put Coulson in your deck? I might be able to use him a couple times. What? Okay, cool. Yeah, let's do it. Another one is Quasar. After he enters play, he removes 1 threat from every scheme in play. Super solid. If you're playing with a control-y protection guy, go get Iron Fist and keep bringing him back. Super solid. You're dealing with a lot of, you're searching some decks for your event for some certain cards. Brother Voodoo can help you. I like Luke Cage and Charlie. If you're playing against a scenario like Norman Osborn where there's a lot of indirect damage, or even Sandman, there's a lot of indirect damage. Cards like Luke Cage and Charlie 27 are going to be extremely useful for you because with their high health totals and their toughness, you can do a lot of good stuff with them. So some of these are the really cool combos. within the other aspects that we can play, which I personally really enjoyed that we can have that type of interaction. And then finally, there's some cool interactions that we can have with Make the Call, and then let's say you want to play a Ms. Marvel deck, and you're like, oh, Ms. Marvel, I can't concentrate on the minions and the defense, so I feel like I'm always getting attacked too much. Well, cool. Why don't you make the call and put a Groot in your discard pile, and boom, go get Groot, because the Make the Call bypasses this restrictions of you can only play it from your hand if you have that identity. And there's a whole bunch of basic allies that can really, really combo off with the different characters. So again, Ghost Spider goes and gets one of your hero identity cards. So, I need my good card, my best card. I'm playing Captain America. I really need my shield throw here. Well, she gets defeated. Go get your shield throw with Captain America. Even if you're not a spider warrior, a web warrior. So those all these keys that you can do with this. Rocket Raccoon. Oh man, there's so many little minions. I'm getting killed by minions. Cool, I'm just gonna go fetch Rocket Raccoon, and now I got a 4-attack minion killer with overkill. Super solid. I need more events from my deck. I'm playing I'm playing Ms. Marvel. I'm gonna put a Gamora in my deck, because every time I activate Gamora, I go get one of my Ms. Marvel events or one of my event cards that I need. So again, all these synergies, and they don't have to be enter to play synergies, but they can just be synergies that you need. So that ally recursion is great. Again, we'll add a couple cards from the Sinister Mechanics here with Agent 13 that can ready a support, and then Spider-Man that can ready a spider character. And one of my favorite combos, again, talking about Drax, is Drax and Major Victory. So Drax Major Victory combo, you can give Drax 3 or 4 extra attacks with this. If you have Major Victory come into play, does his thing, Drax defends, gets his vengeance counter. All right, your turn begins. You use Major Victory to remove a threat or deal a damage. He gets defeated, and then you trigger your rapid response, brings him back to 1, gets to ready a Guardian, ready Drax. Drax attacks. Blah blah blah, then do this. Drax can attack again because he gets defeated again. Drax attacks again, blah blah blah. If you have a second rapid response in your hand, so you can kind of do these loops that are extremely powerful for this type of strategy. So that is the strategy in a nutshell, guys. So if you enjoy recursion, if you enjoy seeing these powerful allies over and over, then definitely I recommend you try this strategy out. It is super fun. It's very efficient. And again, it plays in solo. It plays in multiplayer. And it's a great way to beat the game. So if you guys like this strategy, if you have any comments about this strategy, please let me know. If you're like, oh, Steve, I really like this strategy with this hero because of XYZ. Or I really don't like this strategy, Steve. This is... it's too cheesy, or it's too easy, or it's broken. Tell me about it in the comments. Let's have a discussion about this, and let's see how people interact with this. So for me, I really enjoy, again, leadership, definitely not my favorite aspect, because I do feel like a lot of you feel that it is the strongest of the aspects, but it's still a fun way to play the game for a lot of people who are new to the game. They feel like, oh, cool, I'm assembling a team of superheroes, and we can do lots of stuff together. So aspect strategy goes out. This is a fun, great way to introduce the game to some new players, and having them try this kind of combo synergy when you build the deck for them, and you can have tons of fun. So guys, let me know what you think. Share, like, subscribe if you haven't done it yet, and keep on playing World Champions. Stay tuned for Friday, where you'll be able to see me play the aspect strategy versus a few different villains. I'm probably just going to play 1 or 2 games, and just to show you guys what it works like, or maybe just even 1 game, because this strategy is just like, again, it's basically a one-size-fits-all. So I'll probably just play 1 game. Hope you guys enjoy these videos, and hope this aspect strategy of ally recursion will help you beat the game. Ciao, ciao.